So good morning again, everybody. Thank you for coming to our webinar, which we named How to Collaborate on Infrastructure Projects. My name is Tomáš Nenvorsky. I am a Senior Technical Sales Specialist responsible for architecture, engineering and construction in Eastern Europe, based in Prague, and this is why this webinar will be in English. The reason why we decided to set up this agenda for collaboration is because we believe it's an important part of project, or should be important part of the project, to improve the results, and we want to show you how Autodesk see this and what kind of solution we are offering for this in this respect. So in this case, let's start immediately with presentation, and I will show you the stuff which we have here. So let's go here, and here is just to illustrate what is the knowledge, how knowledge is, let's say, propagated or degraded, in fact, throughout the life cycle of the project. So we do have in concept, if you are making some conceptual design, you are learning, you are receiving knowledge about the project, and then it's dropped while it's going to the design. Not everything is transferred to the next stage, and so on and so forth. And obviously our goal is to improve this. Our goal is to improve the flow of the information. And not only this, we also believe that if you look here for information, for example, within the conceptual design, it's important that all informations are shared with other team members, that everybody knows what's going on, and that everybody is, I would say, on the same page. And sometimes even this spline or this line is not as good as this one for everybody. So, and this is also the goal of our solution, how to improve the collaboration. And obviously, the weakest points are when you are transferring information or moving from one project state to another project stage. Obviously, it has several reasons. The reasons might be that it has been done by a different company, or the reason for being that you made conceptual design 2 years ago, and before all approvals has been received, so information has been lost or forgotten, not maintained, and then you are starting kind of again, and you are trying to regain this knowledge. So this is also why collaboration and data sharing and data storing is important throughout the life cycle of the project. And the answer of Autodesk is, I don't want to say this shiny picture, but it's BIM for infrastructure. And not only BIM for infrastructure, it's connected BIM for infrastructure, where all the data are connected through one source of the data, one source of truth, I would say, and that everybody can go to this one source of truth anytime, anywhere, which means 24 hours per day, 7 days per week, and really regardless where you are based, obviously providing that you have internet connection. So let's have a look at this and how we can do through this. And if you remember this slide, 2 slides before, I was talking about the different stages of the project. So I want to show you how we can tackle this collaboration throughout this life cycle of the project. And then obviously I will start with conceptual design. And in fact, I will start with real project, and I want to illustrate how people are using our tools to share data within the conceptual design. And this is really a real project from Norway, where the Sweco, and thanks to Mr. Atle Hoydalen, I have these videos which he shared with me, and I can show it to you so that I can share their, let's say, learnings and their knowledge with you. So in fact, it was a big project where they were working on a really huge project, but this part is not entire 70 kilometers double rail track. It's a shorter path around one city, around Sorley, and you will see how the part of this project has been tackled. So when you are doing conceptual design, you can work obviously with 2D drawings, but this is not what you really want to do, because you don't really have all information, and you are not receiving entire knowledge about the project. And in fact, they were using these 3D models which they were creating for two purposes. First of all, for coordination and for presentation, and obviously sharing the information, sharing the data. And how they were using it is just some example how you can use this information, because if you go for the meeting where many bodies are involved, then obviously you can talk over the papers, over the drawings, and you can try to figure out what's going on and in which stage you are about on the drawings. However, if you have a 3D BIM model, then it's much easier to share the information, to share the knowledge about the project, that everybody is really seeing it, being on the same page with information, and having common understanding about the project. So this is a picture from meeting which they had every 2 weeks to talk about the project. And here on the left hand side, this girl sitting here was the BIM coordinator, and she was in fact running this machine with the model, and showing people where they are, what they are doing. And you will see how they were enriching this model with other information, not only about the models. But obviously, let's start with what they had for the base, as a base model, for the base as a existing situation or existing content. So in fact, what they had is they were receiving the data, and obviously data can be from the different sources. And if you see here, this is entire model where they had a lot of other information, not only existing ground, but you can see many other features. And let's have a look what everything they put into the model. So first was let's say subsurface layers. So then not only a rock model, but also other strata. Then geotechnical information about drillings, where they have existing boreholes, the new boreholes, where it should be done, and always with metadata. And it will be themes throughout the entire project, because metadata are important one. Then obviously existing underground utilities where they had information, so to have understanding what is really under the ground. Obviously existing terrain, area imagery, basically orthophoto pictures, and then they created or in fact system automatically created for them 3D models of buildings. And using our solution, they can even distinguish about building, if it's protected building, not protected building, where existing railway is, what are the planned corridors. So all information basically is stored in the same model to really have access anytime to this data. And you will see that this data, they had access not only through these meetings which I was showing to you, but also online and in cloud solution. And here you can see which other data they had there. Basically, not only about surfaces, but also about recreation areas. Here are endangered species, so where they cannot go with a railway, and all another important geological data, flood information, to have understanding what has to be elevation of a new design, not to be affected by some, in this case, 200 years water, etc. So all this information they basically store in one model, and they were able to use it for design purposes and for communication purposes. So this is the very first stage what they have. And then what they have, what was the next, is using our software and being able, within this rich existing content model, being able to store other data. And what was, because it's conceptual design, so you are working on different variants, and even within the variants you have different alternatives. And advantage of our solution, and in fact I will tell the software which they were using, it's InfraWorks. They have a possibility to incorporate everything in one model. So they don't have to have different drawings, different folders. No, everything is in one model, and they have different alternatives of the same variant. And maybe you haven't noticed, but here on the left hand side, maybe they will go here with the bridge, or they will go under the ground. So basically, really exploring what is possible and how they can tackle this design challenges to really find the best solution. And they are using, here you can see that here is the variant where they will go under the ground, or they will make some earthwork, and then they were exploring what they can do if they will go under the ground, if they will cover it partially, or if they will fully cover it. So basically, to see and to explore what will be the impact, because obviously then you have existing underground utilities, so you have to move it. You have existing road system, so you have to move this road system or elevate it to the higher elevation. And you see that even though it's not environment like AutoCAD, but very similarly, you are just switching on off different layers, different information, to be able to really see what's going behind, and how it is possible to tackle it. So you see that this solution is, for example, done very simply. Then another, they had different proposals, so they started design, and they put design, and in fact some part of the design has been done in our software, but because it was a huge project, so other people participated as well, so they were importing data from the different designing solutions like Civil 3D, AutoCAD based solution, etc. And here is the result. Again, everything is aggregated in the very same model, where they have all information about the design. And just let's have a look at what kind of information they have here. So if you go for a meeting, so you want to have all information, and not only information about the objects, what is manhole, what is the asphalt, etc., but also you want to capture some, let's say, questions, or they call it request for information. So here they put information. Okay, I need to learn what type of, for example, stage this is, etc., etc. So they put some other properties which are always stored within the model, which is very important, because if you have, as we call it, one source of truth, you want to have access to all information. And they are putting here information which has to be investigated and which has to be filled by somebody else. And not only this, they want to see, for example, in this case, they wanted to see how it's look like now at this stage. and how it will look when it's designed. Obviously, design is simple. It's here. They put all information, but for example, they put here another object. And just hovering over this object. Open street map is initialized, and they can just have a look and look what is the current environment at this point and where it will go and how it will look like. So really connecting, let's say, current situation with the future and having all information. And I was mentioning that always very important are data. And the data, just let's have a look what they have here. Always they have information about here will be some new road, so they have to move the road because of the railway. So they put here all necessary information. And obviously this amount of information can vary. So it's up to the user to define which information should be there, that everybody has the same info available. Yep. And here you can see the level of detail, which they decided to have even in the preliminary design. Manholes, inlets, electrical poles, all these objects have a 3D representation plus information available with this. So all information available in one model. So this is how they tackle this and what they were using really for communication purposes. And I also mentioned that all this entire rich model can be shared in cloud. So here's the example of different model, how this model, it can be brought to our cloud solution. I will talk about this later. We call it document management in cloud, where you can upload the data and based on permissions, other people can access this data. So this is related to permissions. And you were seeing in the previous example that we have what we call proposals. Basically, I call it the different variants. So you have different variants of your design. And here people can access also here in the cloud solution where you uploaded your model. They can see different variants. They can, let's say, go through this and check what will be variant 1, variant 2, whatever is the name for this. And you can go, you can check it. And not only this, having information in cloud, having model in cloud, you can start with markups. You can start with what we call issues. So here I posted, for example, this model, and then somebody else who is collaborating with me. Okay, what is this bridge? How it will look like? So give me more clarification, and we can basically start a communication, which obviously you can do over the phone. But advantage of having it in cloud is that all this information are stored and documented. So basically it is stored, and this markup is, let's say, permanent, and it will be available anytime, even though we have in different stage. Obviously we can make it invisible. It doesn't have to be always like this, but it is stored. And nobody can say, okay, I didn't see it. Why you didn't reply it? Because I didn't see it. No, everything is available and everybody can see it. So this is how we can work. So, and what are the benefits? And this is this is quotation, in fact, from the customer, so that they have very simple user interface, where everybody could store the data and can work with this. They really benefit from different variants in one model with no necessity to move between models. They could work really with big data, because this is why I mentioned at the beginning how huge this project is, and they could store all this data in one model. They use different data sources, aggregating the data and seeing all design, and being able to collaborate, which I mentioned. This is something which they also very appreciate. So being able to collaborate on the data which are stored in cloud. And last but not least, also being able to visualize it. And as a, let's say, byproduct, they were using it for visualization for public hearings, so you can imagine if you have such a rich model with different variants and you go for public hearing with such project. So it's very easy for people which are non-technical understand properly what's going on there. So let's move on. So let's move to the detailed design. So I showed you how we envision and not only envision, how already people are using our solution for collaboration and communication on the conceptual design. So let's move to the details design stage. And again, I will be talking about cloud. So everything is data centric in cloud. And you already saw in Infraworks how it can be stored. But not only this, in detail design, we are using AutoCAD Civil 3D. And this tool can help you to make a really detailed design. And also the data from Civil 3D can be stored in cloud and can be collaborated on and can be worked on in cloud. So let's have a look how we can do this. So what we can do. So we can, within our document management tool, we can really view, share, and review either drawings, I'm talking about 2D layouts, or 3D models. So it's up to you if you are working with 2D or 3D, it's entirely up to you. And in fact, I was showing you Infraworks Civil 3D, but you can work, for example, with PDF files. So it's really up to you with which kind of data formats you have and which you can use. And based on this, you can create markups, you can use redlining. So basically to put here is something which I would like to know more. And we have also what we call issues and requests for information, RFI. So issue is something which you want to address to somebody. Okay, here I see some problem on the model, and you are sending, or better said, system is automatically sending the message to somebody which you assign to this issue. And then we are talking about contractual document, basically the documents which you want to send on site, and all that kind of stuff can be really done in our cloud solution. And last but not least, again, access anytime, anywhere. Basically, all the data are available in cloud, and anybody can, or maybe I should correct myself, person who has permission, who has granted permission to go to the model, can access it anytime and anywhere. So if we are talking about BIM 360, so basically our cloud solution, which I was already talking before with Infraworks. So we have, let's say, 4 main themes: publish, share, view, and markup. And let's have a look how it can be done, how we can tackle this. So if you look, in the document management, we have, let's say, 2 different folders. One is really to work with your design peers and exchange the data on the design phase. And then you have what we call contractual data sharing, basically the data which you want to send on the construction side, and people can access it on the construction side. Obviously, then access rights to these folders can be different. This will be for design, this will be for the construction company. But not only this, we have also built in different behavior, how system recognizes it. So if we are talking about plans here, about this part, system will automatically extract the data from a multi-sheet document. For example, if you have DWG file from Civil 3D, you have different layouts, and you have longitudinal profile, cross sections, plan view, and obviously on the construction side, they would like to have each of this layout as a different document, and system can do it for you. We can extract this data to different documents and to deal with this separately, in fact. So I was talking about permission. So what you can do is you can invite project members. So talking about inviting project members, in fact, you are assigning permission rights to the individual users. But in fact, it doesn't have to be necessarily only individual user. So here is just example. Okay, I will invite my colleague Patrick, and I will assign him the rights. But Also, we can invite users as a company. So if, because you are specifying that the user belongs to this company. So now I can, AGCon will have, all people from company AGCon will have access view only. Or we can invite users by role, because somebody is designer, somebody is supervisor, somebody is architect, and they can have a different level of access based on the role. And this is another way how we can define the permission. So you have many different ways how you can do this. Obviously, for example, this role-based access is very easy, because if somebody is leaving company and somebody new is replacing him, so you will assign him only this role, and he will automatically inherit all necessary rights. And here is an example how just easy it is enrich or diminish the access rights which can be done. So then also what you can do is you can subscribe. Basically, if you want to receive information that something has been updated, deleted, edit. So basically you have really information about what's going on the project, which might be very important because you are traveling, you are on the construction site, so you will receive the notification in your Outlook folder where you can have all information available at once. So if we are talking about collaboration, it can have two different phases. So first is internal, so basically design review. As the project is basically improving and going forward, so you want to communicate with other stakeholders, and then here is an example how it can work. So basically you will design something, you will publish it on the cloud. So for designing, review, and markups, you will get some feedback. Okay, please change this, give me information about that. You will make design notification, and finally it will be approved. So basically the documentation is done and it can go forward. So it's just simplification of the process, how it can look. Obviously it can go back and forth, because design modification can change something else, so you should be able always to repeat it and to work with this. And let's have a look how it can work. So we are in drawing LMDWG, so basically we are in Civil 3D. We have some surfaces which are in fact use data shortcut. They are brought in, so they are in fact sitting or residing in different drawing, and we can work with this. And just very simply, we will go and we will upload the data, obviously from a folder where it is, so from detailed design we will bring this DWG file, and the system is uploading the file, obviously depending on your bandwidth. It can be fast, it can be slow depending on the bandwidth. Then it's processed, and you can start to work with this. And all versions are automatically stored. If you will upload a new version, you will see version 2, version 3, and you can work with all versions as you need. You can also share data, and you can share the data by email. So basically, if you have somebody who you want to share only this drawing for some reason, you can send him invite and he can view it. And obviously, this notification is done by system. So here you are just typing some message what you want from him to do, and how it should work. Yeah. So sending him some notification what you would like to check, what this person should look for, and done. So this guy will receive a notification, and he can view document, So just clicking on a button view document, he can have a look at it. And just note that you are in internet browser, so just nothing has to be installed. This person doesn't have to have Civil 3D, for example, installed. It can be supervisor, so he can work with layers, so he can make invisible what is really not needed. And then he will maybe make some notification, okay, I don't like this, and he will type you the reason why. So What we are doing at this point is we are using markups to mark up the design, so making design review, and just maybe because he measured the distance between alignments or between alignment and some object, so he's suggesting that it's too close, and please move it, or do whatever you want. So this is just a process how to notify somebody, and you will save it, and it will become a part of cloud storage. And you see that here in markups we can see all information, and then obviously you can edit it, you can modify it, and you can publish it. So as soon as you will publish it, then it's published and it's part of this group, and people can view it. Yeah. Before publishing, it was just your private markup, and nothing, nobody else would see it. So basically what you can do, you can prepare several markups and then publish it in one run. So somebody, Patrick, did for me markups, and what I can do still in my Internet Explorer or Internet browser, I can see that there is one markup. This sign means that there is one markup. So okay, and I can have a look at it. So what I can do is, okay, I can zoom in, and I see what's going on, and I will go to the markups, and I see, okay, Patrick gave me this markup here, and I can start to investigate, and okay, good, I understand what's going on. So let's have a look what to do with this. And it's just switching between different views. And so now I will start to work on this. So I will lock it. So basically nobody can do anything with this, So I just locked it, and I will download the file that I know that there is this markup, and I can work with this. And obviously, using standard Civil 3D functionality, I will modify my design so I can change the geometry. So I was asked me as a designer to move the alignment, so I will do it accordingly. So just very simply, I will move it, I will modify it, and I will create another version of the drawing. So just necessary changes. Yeah, so done. So I have previous one. This one which I downloaded. So now what I can do, I can unlock it, because now I want to upload a newer version. And just again by simple drag and drop or using here button upload, I can upload a new version. And the same process. But now, because it is the file with the same name, I have version number 2, and I can look to different versions. As I mentioned, all versions are maintained, and you can see that now this I basically fulfill the requirements of Patrick. So you see that this markup is done. Solved, so I'm archiving it. It's still part of this cloud solution. Basically, we can go and look to the archive folder, what has been communicated and why did these changes. So everything is really archived and kept for subsequent references. So then we can make a design review for external. So as soon as my design is finished, so everybody is happy. So I mean, internal in a design team, I can basically use and publish it and make it available for guys maybe on the construction side. So this is how it can work, and how we can make design review with external collaborators for what we call contractual documents. And let's have a look how it can work. So we did our design, and now we will move to plans. And this is what I mentioned at the beginning. This is let's say very specific for collaboration with construction site. And I will drag and drop the file, and behind will be the process. Not only uploading it, but also processing it, extracting information. So first, obviously, it's uploading. I will hit continue, and system will extract it. System will process the data in cloud. Obviously, I can close this window and I can continue to work with something else, or obviously I can wait until it's done. It's up to me. But now system extracted all sheets. So as I mentioned, we have different layouts, different sheets, and now system from each sheet made a separate document so that people on the construction side, they will have section views separately, they will have longitudinal profile separately as a separate document, even though I had it as a one document as a designer. So these guys, you can see again in a web browser, they can measure the information, they can get information from this. So measure, for example, area, if volumetric calculation is correct, and so on and so forth, so not only distances. So getting basically information out of 2D sheet, which I posted to them. Yeah. So again, one document at the beginning, split it into the several documents for the construction side, and being able to review each of them and to work with them. So for example here, I have already designed, so I have already daylighting, bridge, and so on and so forth. And I have all information available. So this is what is also very important. It's not only drawing. This is drawing with all information which can be used for a decision-making process or getting information about what's going on, why is there. So it's not only, let's say, raster file, but it's really something which is important for decision-making process. And then we can start with issue management. So what does it mean? We can, on the construction side, they open the drawing, they look at it, and obviously they checked what's there, and then maybe they found that there is something wrong. So what they can do, they can add some what we call issue. So and the issue is, well, I would say more stronger than markup, because okay, maybe my issue here is this barrier is in a wrong location or wrong barrier, whatever, wrong type. So I can type, okay, this I don't like, me as a construction company. So dear designer, please could you change it and redesign it? And obviously it doesn't have to, if I'm changing type, maybe I have to make wider shoulder or something. So, and now I can address it to somebody. So basically I will send this notification to somebody, for example, to designer as a role, and I'm telling him, okay, please solve it till 9th of November, for example. And now I will say done, and it's still draft. It's nothing happened so far, but as soon as I will say it's opened, so now it generated email message to the guy called Peter Ingels, and Peter Ingels received information, okay, here is the issue, and do something with that. So this is what is the difference between markup and issue, because issue is, let's say, more stronger, this due date and all this kind of stuff. And here you have the information about all issues, and you can really filter it based on, when it has been opened, to whom it was assigned, and so on and so forth. So you can filter it accordingly. And me being designer, I would create filter. Okay, everything what is assigned to me, just show it, and then I can view, and I can view it even on documents. So I have the list of all issues assigned to me, and then I can say, okay, view it on document, and I know immediately where it is a problem and what kind of problem it is. So you can see that system zoomed in automatically, and now maybe I don't have to redesign something, or I have some reason why I made a barrier of this type, or I will make a redesign, etc., etc. So now I decided, okay, these guys on the construction sites are right, so I will answer it and I will work on it. And you can even attach more information, so you can you saw that there is possibility to pin more information there. Yep. So you see that it has been answered, done. And now I can view it. And because I changed it, can you see I uploaded a new version? So I will close the issue. So me as a now playing Peter Ingels, I did my job. I answered, okay, I'm taking care of it. After redesigning it, I can close the issue. And again, all these issues are stored in cloud and are trackable. So we can track what's going on. And you see now you can go to each issue and to check it again, if it's been closed, who closed it, and what is the history behind this issue. And not only this, what we can also do, we can compare the versions, because as I'm designer, I'm creating new versions, and these guys on the construction side, maybe they don't have a clue what has been done, what are the changes. So we have the tool here, compare the versions. So what's happening is system is bringing these two different drawings, one above each other. So now I can see, okay, it can be kind of overlay, or I have slider here, and if I'm sliding, I see the differences between these two versions. And obviously, we know what is the difference, barrier type, So originally it was steel, and now it's a concrete one. So, and we can even change, colorize it, change the colors, so one is blue, one is red, and as soon as I'm using slider, so it's just better visible what are the changes in between the versions. So just handy tools how to tackle this stuff. So, and what are the benefits? So everything is based on cloud. It's cloud-based collaboration, and everybody can see it. So again, it's very simple user interface. No need to install anything. All the collaboration is done in web browser. Web browser has viewers automatically embedded, so we can view 2D files, 3D files, and we can, by the way, view more than 60 different formats, which are not only Autodesk formats, by the way, but also Exchange format or even formats of the competitors if the formats are publicly available. We can define the permissions, we can notify about the changes, we can, you saw it, work with the issues, markups. I didn't talk about request for information, but it's very similar, like I'm asking for information, and there is predefined workflow, who will receive the information and who should give me the answer. And last but not least, we have also versioning, and we can compare the versions, so we can really efficiently work with the different versions. And let's have a look to the construction side. On the construction side, what they would like to do, they would like to aggregate all data into one model, and being able from this one model to use all necessary information in one location, and being able to run clash detection, maybe to make construction simulation and add another information. So let's have a look how it can work. So now I'm back in document management, where I store the data, and now I will move, it's just example that you can see that there can be several projects, because obviously you can be involved in different projects, so you will have different folders. And now I created here, for example, different models from bridge, tunnel, which I received from designers. And I can obviously have a look at it. And as I mentioned, within our BIM assisted solution, we can view these models. And now, for example, this model is coming from Revit, so I have tunnel, and I can view this tunnel, and I can interrogate it. So here is the tunnel in pieces, how it precast concrete pieces, and I can have a look at it, and I can get information about this, all necessary things. And the similar stuff is road. So where I have a DWG file, it's different project, this is a bypass of some village, and I can see that I have existing and new design, so everything aggregated in one. So I have, for example, here road with retaining wall, with bridge, etc., etc. And again, you have 2D and 3D, so again, different sheets, so I can interrogate it and I can play with this. Yep. So just to introduce you this project, so that I have this information, so I can hide, for example, surface, that I can play with only my road and my bridge and so on. Just example. View it from different perspectives. Obviously 3D, you can see I have cut, fill, some retaining wall, tunnel, bridge, so all information are within the one. And now what I did also aggregated model. So me as a, let's say now I'm guy on the construction side, I aggregated all the data. I can see different versions of this, and I put everything into one model, which I call all. And within this all, I have data from existing content, context, you can see it. I have road from road designer, I have bridge from bridge designer, I have tunnel from tunnel designer. So I aggregated all information, and I have all necessary data which are here. So for example, I put also as a designer what is the concrete type. System can automatically calculate the volume. So I have all this information available, and I can play with this. And having one aggregated model, me being on the construction side, I can benefit from this. And just realize, I receive the data from Revit, from AutoCAD, from Civil 3D, basically from different solutions, but I am not super expert and I don't know all of them. So if I have it aggregated in one model, I can use Navisworks, which you can see right now, and all the data can be interrogated and can be worked with. And I can access all information which has been added to the model. So I can have a look, for example, here's the retaining wall, I can zoom in, and me as a supervisor, I can interrogate what's going on. And obviously, the quantification, volumetric calculation can be done in Civil 3D, can be done in Revit. But now, me being a supervisor on the construction company, I would like to know immediately what is the volume, for example, of asphalt or some specific type of asphalt, because I have to order it. So I can access it. So basically, now I'm trying to say, well, okay, find me all corridor information which has some name, equals, and now obviously depending how it was being coded, so I can find all this data. And system will do it for me. So now I have all this information. But obviously what I can do, I can filter it, or okay, maybe first 500 meters. So all this information can be done, and I can interrogate what is, for example, asphalt volumes. And I have it. So calculate system will not only find it, but system will calculate it for me. So I have volumetric calculation for each piece of asphalt, how it has been designed, but also I have entire volume. And using the same solution, it's another project where I can very simply aggregate all data, existing one, a new one, and what we can do timeliner. So basically what we can do is construction sequencing, how the construction will be done. And this is something very useful for on the construction side to see constructability, if it really makes sense or not. So we are assigning time to each object, and you saw that I can assign this timing here, or I can import it from, for example, Microsoft project, simple CSV file, or Primavera, so because maybe it has been already done, and I will just import it, and it will start to work with this. And then I can see how the sequencing has been done, and it's visualized. So I can see all information running here, and how it will be done, how it will be processed. Anytime I can stop it, and I can interrogate what is this object, what is the, for example, properties of the particular object. So I can go here, and I have again all information available here in this particular stage. Yeah. So, and again, like this kind of AutoCAD, you can make something visible, invisible. You can slide back and forth to learn how it will work in this particular time. So, way how to make construction sequencing. And this construction sequencing can be very important also for maybe safety. Because if you are on the construction site, obviously one of the issues is safety. And I will show you how our products can address some issues like this. So let's imagine that there will be a crane, and this crane will be moving. So what we can do, in fact, we can animate it. So basically what I defined path for this crane going back and forth on this new overpass. Yeah, so it will be traveling like this. But my concern is, if he is traveling this crane up and down, what will happen with this electricity overhead poles? Overhead lines. So what I will do, I will make clash detection between this crane, which is in fact moving. So you can see this is assigned to the scene. So it's not static object, it's animated, it's moving object. And now I will say, okay, interrogate if this animated object will not clash with these overhead electrical lines. And obviously there will be clash, so I see that it would be very dangerous for this guy sitting in crane and working there. So I have to make some decision if maybe these lines will be cut it for time of being, or there will be some different solutions. And obviously always I can create what we call reports. I can create report, then send it to somebody who has even not having this software, but I want to give him information that this is this problem, so he can see the picture with information what will the clash, so that he can have a look at this. So this is as far as coordination is concerned. And I was talking about access anytime, anywhere, and here's example how people on the construction site using a mobile device can access the data. And if I'm talking about mobile device, then I'm talking about iOS or Android solution. So here on an iPad, I can have a look what's going on. And in fact, I was talking about markups, about issues, requests for information. So all this I can do from within my mobile device. And here's just example. Okay, some markup. So Dieter posted markup on the construction site, and then he's going through different drawings and checking and giving me his feedback. Maybe this pier is too deep, so he can measure it. So he will learn that this is too deep, so he will give me other markups, what's going on, and or obviously he can make issue. As I mentioned, it's up to him how it will be done. So with that, sorry, it's 1 hour more or less done. So now I will ask you if you want to post some question. You have possibility to post the question. But obviously, if you don't have any question now, so I would ask you to send me email, and maybe at this point, what I will do, I will ask Viorel if he wants to say something. So Viorel, you are unmuted. Please, could you tell something to attendees?
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much, Tomasz. It's always a real pleasure to have webinars with you. Just want to tell you, if you missed anything, we will register the webinar and you will receive the email. So everyone that is registered, they will receive the email.
You can switch to Romanian. Switch to Romanian.
Ok, so, bună dimineața, în primul rând, mulțumesc frumos că ați participat la webinar. Toți cei care nu ați avut timp sau credeți că ați pierdut ceva din ce a spus Tomasz, o să primiți înregistrarea video. Eu în română, Tomasz în engleză, vă stăm la dispoziție mereu pentru orice întrebare, la fel partenerii noștri din România. Mulțumim frumos încă o dată, veți primi înregistrarea și vă mai așteptăm. Sănătate și numai bine. Thank you, Tomasz.
Thank you. It was again my pleasure. I'm just checking if there are some questions at this point. No questions at this point. So with that, I will finish with the webinar. Thanks again a lot for your attending this webinar. And again, if you have any question, please do not hesitate to contact us. So with that, thank you very much and have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you, Tomasz. Bye.